Yeah, look, I'm just blown away, just by you specifically, but also with Fox. Like, can't be easy to sort of convince people who I would imagine don't have so much experience on, sort of the newer, innovative technology side of the business. Is that a challenge to get everybody on board, or are they kind of letting you do whatever you want? Like, how does that work?
I think our leadership is actually pretty risk tolerant and has been for a while. I think it's part of the DNA of the brand is to be a disruptor. It's going back to even how we thought about, acquiring NFL rights back in the day and how Fox first got into really being a part of football broadcast, and everything we've done to disrupt how people watch football on television, right? So we think of ourselves an upstart brand. It's in the DNA. So I think actually the selling this proposition was actually not so difficult to show the power of the potential and what we talked about earlier. I think of the like Web 1 to Web 2, how we kind of sat back and we had a more passive role in that. From Web 2 to Web 3, like it resonates with a lot of people who went through that to think like, no, we want to be on the front foot here. So I think within our company, it's actually been I think a lot of these core principles of what Web 3 is all about really resonates with the executive team. There's obviously from an actual implementation execution standpoint, we have to be super careful, right? Like we in this space, there's a lot of uncertainty regulatory wise. There is, a lot of brand equity that we've built up that we can't take for granted, and so we obviously take that responsibility really seriously. But that's part of it. That's execution and tactics. But from a strategy perspective, I think there's a lot of buy-in that the work is important.
Well, look, I'm very surprised, and I'll tell you why. Right. So when I first got this job, I've been doing this show maybe about a year. I was researching the other sort of like crypto media business journalists, and it was amazing to me how many irresponsible things were said, and Bitcoin's a scam, and crypto is going to fade away. All these things, they clearly do not understand the technology, right? Where Fox, where to be honest, I didn't know any of these things that you guys are doing. I mean, you're doing like really, really cutting edge, avant-garde stuff with like the sort of best use cases with the technology. Like how are you doing this sort of under the radar?
In some ways, I think it's good to actually just bias towards execution over PR,
Mhm.
and to actually we also made a splash. We founded the business unit and we launched what we were doing with Krapopolis. And we're like, okay, this is a huge animated series that we are going to, from day one, incorporate Web 3 into how we think about the production of the show. And this is going to be prime part of our broadcast on Sunday evenings. Couldn't be more mainstream. So we kind of made a big splash just to, I think, put a flag out there that we were serious. But in the meantime, you really just got to execute because we see, obviously, if you spend, any time in the space, you kind of see how the rise and fall and like the over promising, the under delivering, the lack of expectations between the creator and their fans. So the communications really matter, the commitments really matter. That's the thing that I think you have to realize entering Web 3 that we've been really cautious about, which is that if you're going to be having these direct relationships with consumers and you're going to be saying this is a new way of you being able to be part of something, you have to deliver on that, because you've opened that door. Now people have expectations about you walking through it. So in that sense, it's better to be a bit heads down in terms of execution so we can focus on actually growing those communities, being honest, not getting caught in this massive hype cycle,
Yeah.
which I think is not helpful to actually growing a business with real longevity. So that's the execution focus. That's why our team is primarily engineers, and we're also just thinking about infrastructure for the long run, and we're testing that through our intellectual property. But we have this like very long term view about what the infrastructure can unlock. So we don't want to play into some weird, just hype moment. It's more of an enduring strategy.
My God, I wish I could be more critical, but I'm just like, I just want to know more. Look, 30 seconds, we don't have a lot of time, but you know, we're really fighting against a lot of negative headlines in Web3. Like, how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, I think a lot of the bad news recently and a bit of the crypto winter now, it probably has set back the mainstream adoption. You think about like a maybe someone who might have been curious about the technology, is more likely to say, I'm going to wait 6 months. Or like, let's see how this plays out. Brands are thinking that way. I think a lot of media companies are thinking that way. Fans are thinking that way. So I think that has set back the adoption in some ways. On the other hand, it's obviously healthy for the whole ecosystem to be more grounded in strong projects. And so the people who are still building it today.
I'm gonna go to the break. We need a 25-hour show. We're just you. We're here on the Daily Drop.